Hey everyone, welcome to another ranking. Here's my ranking of Brad Bird's movies. Yes, Brad Bird is a very creative and very visionary director, and he's directed 3 animated movies and 2 live-action movies, and I love every one of his movies, so I thought I'd rank all of Brad Bird's movies from my least favorite to my favorite. Alright, let's get started. He's got 5 movies, so let's get started. Here's my ranking of Brad Bird's movies. Alright, coming number 5 is Tomorrowland. Yes, Tomorrowland just came out last year, and people really didn't like this movie. I like to say it's mixed, but I think it's more on the hate side than the like side. I saw it, and I gave it a positive rating. I gave it, like a 7.6 out of 10. I stick by that rating because I recently watched it on Netflix a few weeks ago, a second viewing to see if it still holds up, and I still think it holds up. I still think it's a very good movie. Is it a great movie? No, but it's a fun, entertaining movie, and I really liked it. I like the lead girl, I like George Clooney, that little girl, I think, steals the whole movie. I like Judy Greer. There's a few characters I didn't like. I didn't really care for Hugh Laurie very much. The third act was a little bit of a mess, but the first 2 acts was really fun. It was a really fun, entertaining movie. It felt like I was watching, like, The Rocketeer or something. Brad Bird is a very visionary, very creative director, and it really shows a lot of his vision and creativity in this movie, Tomorrowland. I love the idea. It's a very fresh and a very original idea. Is it his best movie? No, it is definitely his weakest film out of his 5 movies, but I still really like it. There are some problems with the movie. There are definitely. I don't want to get into that because then I have to spoil it and go into more details. That'll take forever, but there are problems with that movie. There are big problems, but the good stuff is really good. The 3 lead characters are really good characters, and they're portrayed by very good actors. I love its action. I love its adventurous side. I love how fun and entertaining it is. It's great for kids. It's great for adults. It's great for Brad Bird fans. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I enjoy it. It's his weakest movie, but I still enjoy it. Coming number 4 is Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. Yes, this was hard to do because all those other movies that isn't Tomorrowland is hard to rank because they're all such amazing gems. So I put Ghost Protocol at 4, even though it was hard for me to do because I love this movie, and putting it at number 4 seems like I'm insulting it, but I'm not. I love Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. This is probably my favorite Mission Impossible movie. And I love the Mission Impossible movies. I don't like the second one, but I love the first one, third one, Rogue Nation. They're all great, but Ghost Protocol is just a fantastic movie. I love the action in this movie. This is one of the best action-packed Mission Impossible movies out of the whole franchise. It's directed by Brad Bird. This is the first live-action movie he did. People were like, whoa, Brad Bird is doing a Mission Impossible movie? That animated director? Well, let's see what he does. And he did a fantastic job. The visuals are amazing. Tom Cruise, Jeremy Renner, Simon Pegg all kill it in this movie. And why this movie brought in more Simon Pegg, because he was in the 3rd Mission Impossible movie and he was great, but he was more in this one, and I loved him in this movie. He was great. And the whole team, some of the best things about the Mission Impossible movies is the team aspect. This team going after this terrorist or villain and stuff. See, that's why I didn't like the second one, because it was just Ethan Hunt doing his thing. But in the first one, third one, Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation, it's always a team, and that's what makes it more interesting. The team interacting with each other and going after the bad guy and stuff. And I love Ghost Protocol. It's my favorite Mission Impossible movie. The action's is bigger and better. The characters are more interesting. The story's more interesting. It feels like a more cool and more fascinating espionage movie. I love it. It's more big scale, too. It's a big movie. Come on, it has Tom Cruise climbing up the biggest building in the entire world. That is freaking awesome. The stunts and the scenery in this movie is fantastic. And I love everything about it. Yes, I wish there was more Vin Rhymes in the movie, but all in all, it's a great movie, and it's my 4th favorite Brad Bird movie. Coming number 3 is The Incredibles. I love The Incredibles. I love Pixar movies, and The Incredibles is one of the best Pixar movies out there. It's right there with Toy Story, my number 2 pick, Up, WALL-E, all those great Pixar movies. Incredibles is one of the best ones. I love an animated movie about superheroes, and this is a superhero family, The Incredibles. You got Mr. Incredible, Mrs. Incredible, Violet, Jack, Dash. All of them are such awesome and very likable and very memorable characters. I love all their unique powers. One has force fields, one's super fast, one turns into things, one's super strength, one can stretch. I love all these weird powers. I love the dynamics of this family. Yes, most of the movie is about Mr. Incredible, and he's great. I love Mr. Incredible, voiced by Craig T. Nelson. He's a very interesting character. He just wants to be a hero, but in this movie, very cleverly, in this movie, superheroes are like extinct. It's against the law to be a superhero because of damage control and everything, and I think that's such a cool idea, and I love that he's disobeying law and still doing superhero work on the side, and eventually a new villain comes. He calls himself Syndrome, and he's voiced by Jason Lee, and then they actually do need superheroes to save the city. And I love this movie. I love it. And it goes into depths about superheroes and about family and stuff with powers, and what do you do when you have these gifted powers and stuff. It's a great movie. It's got some great drama and amazing action scenes, especially in the third act. Such a fun third act. I loved it. It's when the Incredibles finally team up and they fight all these machines and the villain and everything. And you get to see Frozone, played by Samuel Jackson. I love him. I love all these characters. I love the action. I love the comedy. I love these characters. These characters is what makes this movie awesome. I love the designs. See, Brad Bird knows how to design proper animation, and I love him. Anytime Brad Bird does animated movies, I'm always in for it. And Incredibles is one of his best movies. It's my third favorite Brad Bird movie. Coming number 2 is Ratatouille. Yes, Ratatouille is such an awesome Pixar movie. I don't want to call this movie underrated, but I think people need to watch this movie more, and I think people need to love this movie more. People always like Ratatouille, but I've never heard anyone say this is their favorite Pixar movie. This is one of my favorite Pixar movies. This, Toy Story, and Up are like my 3 favorite Pixar movies. It's hard to choose a favorite out of those 3, but I think Up gets the edge a little bit, but Ratatouille is really close. I love this movie. The designs are beautiful. Some of the atmosphere is breathtaking. Some of the scenes of Paris with all these colors, these purples and blacks. The designs of this movie are just amazing, just magnificent. And I love these characters. I love Linguini. I love Remy the Mouse, voiced by Patton Oswalt. He's great. I love the little chef villain. I love Gustav. I love all these weird chefs and cooks in the kitchen. I love these weird backstories, which makes them all the more awesome and interesting. I wish they went into more depths about these cooks in the kitchen, but what we got was really funny and interesting. I love the sous chef who barely says anything. He just looks mean all the time. I love it. I love the story. I love the passion of cooking. I love movies about cooking. Movies about cooking just are interesting to me, and it's very delightful, and this movie is very delightful, very sweet, and very interesting, very funny, very likable, and just great for kids. It's great for the whole family, this movie, Ratatouille, and the food in this movie, even though it's animation, just looks delicious. I wish I could just eat it off the screen. And one of my favorite characters in this whole movie is the critic. I love the food critic in this movie. And the scene when he bites into the ratatouille is like a 10-second scene, but it is a beautiful scene. And the ending to this movie and the critic's speech at the ending is one of the most beautiful speeches in any Pixar movie. The ending to this movie is a perfect ending to this actual movie. Like, I don't like to call any movies perfect, because no movie is perfect. This movie is far from perfect, but the ending to this movie is perfect. There's no other way you could have ended this movie. So this movie ended it perfectly. It ended everyone's story perfectly, and I loved this movie. I loved the animation, characters, comedy, premise, the food, the critic. Everything about this movie is amazing. It's just a delightful treat, and it's my second favorite Brad Bird movie. I love Ratatouille. And my number 1 favorite Brad Bird movie is The Iron Giant. This is one of my favorite 90s movies, and it's one of my all-time favorite animated movies of all time. It's such an underrated classic. I love The Iron Giant. This movie came out, what, 1998, 1999, around that time, and I love this movie. It's probably the best work Vin Diesel's done, because he barely says anything. I've said this a bajillion times. When you give Vin Diesel less things to do, the more interesting your movie is going to be. Like Saving Private Ryan, or him as Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy, and him in this movie is The Iron Giant. The Iron Giant himself is a very compelling, very complex character, and it's very well done. It's very well voiced by Vin Diesel, and he's just such an interesting and very well written character. I love all the characters in this movie. I love Hogarth. I love his mother. I love Dean. I love that evil government agent. I love all these characters, and I love how compelling this story is. This is an animated movie. Sometimes you forget you're watching an animated movie because the characters and story are so compelling. I love this movie. If you haven't seen The Iron Giant yet, check it out. It's amazing. It's got some of the best writing and direction in any animated movie I've ever seen. See this movie. It didn't make a lot of money in the box office when it first came out, but I'm glad people are starting to watch this more and more, because I love this movie. This movie is a compelling, riveting story, and I love it. The Iron Giant is one of my favorite animated movies, and it's my favorite Brad Bird movie. So yeah, that was my ranking of all Brad Bird's movies, from my least favorite to my favorite. So yeah, in the comment section below, please tell me, what is your favorite Brad Bird movie? Give me all your rankings of all his movies. Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please like and subscribe to this channel, and join the dark side.